This episode of Generation 16 is just overflowing with firsts. Here we have the first ever Mega Drive game that originated in North America. Remember Tetris? We previously discussed the game and its ridiculous journey from Russian PC shareware to arcades and home consoles around the world. Right around the time Tetris was becoming a phenomenon, a software engineer at Hewlett-Packard was busy coming up with a puzzle game of his own. Jay Geertsen's columns shared a lot of similarities to Tetris. Colored gems fall to the bottom of a well, challenging the player to make continuous matches in order to clear them out and make room for more. Columns was originally written for the little-known X Windows system in 1989, but was pretty quickly ported to DOS, Mac, and Windows 3 and the Atari ST. Whereas Sega was unable to publish Tetris on any of its home consoles, it needed its own puzzle game to fill out the Mega Drive library. In 1990, Sega licensed Columns from Geertsen and got to work releasing it on every bit of hardware they could. The Mega Drive version is loosely based on the arcade version Sega released earlier in 1990. Gameplay is almost as simple as Tetris, but just complex enough that I'd say Columns is a bit more difficult to master early on. Three gem columns fall from the top of the screen at ever-increasing speeds. Unlike Tetris, where the pieces can be rotated to fit into the well below, the player is limited to simply cycling the three gems in each column until they hit the bottom. The idea is to match up three or more similar colors when the columns land. And of course, learning how to set up multiple strings of matches is the key to getting the highest score. Columns was everywhere in the early 90s. Besides the arcade and Mega Drive versions, the game saw release on the Master System, Sega's handheld Game Gear, the PC Engine, the FM Towns, MSX, PC-88, and the PC-98. Heck, 1999 even saw a version of Columns come to the Super Nintendo. Yep, that's two games this episode that eventually came to Nintendo's 16-bit console. As for the pre-Sega versions of Columns, well, you can find examples of them on the internet if you look hard enough. But strangely enough, Jay Geertsen's original is almost impossible to find. By the way, you're watching what has to be the very best game of Columns I've ever played in my life. I've never been able to get good at setting up combos. Witness my amazing skills.
Your secrets, if you really look at yourself, you would be speechless. What happened to being doctors and teachers? What happened to being your brother's keeper? Nowadays, kids more worried